feels so good.
All right, I think I see what I did. When this catches up, you should do it.
It wasn't so much of a twist of fate as a short turn up from a southern state. He was born with a sweet tooth he couldn't beat, always trying to find himself.
Yeah. It's the program itself that does the stream. There are previews, and then you preview what you want it to look like, and then you hit a button to make it go live,
I see.
Or switch to the actual live feed. So it's kind of like a television studio in that sense, that you can like preview like what you want it to look like before you actually send it out. And since I didn't have the audio on, when I changed it, it was just on the preview side. I had to send it out for the audio to go out. But if we have the mixer, I can take a feed from the mixer, so all of those microphones can go directly into the sound, as opposed to everything just being picked up by this.
I mean, whatever you think is best, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that sounds better for a finished product in the long run.
Then that might be the thing to do if it's possible. I think, I mean, I hate to say it, but I actually feel like I think that we at Antioch don't fully appreciate the like gravitas of the work that we do as a college. And there's going to be people here, indigenous people, who are really dealing with the imperialism of the United States and the fossil fuel industry to compromise people's drinking water.
Yeah.
And that conversation is very real. You know, it is very real. So I think it's very important. I mean, we're going to have a speaker on Wednesday night too, and I don't have any plans to have any of that recorded. It's just going to be a conversation after the film. But what I'm realizing is I should probably have a mic just to run it in the audience for people.
When this is the Wednesday night?
Yeah, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing, because I'm just going to come in here and play the movie on the laptop. But what I'm realizing is that there's going to be a conversation afterwards, and that we will need a mic for that.
Okay.
We'll need a mic at the table, as well as one that can be run in the audience. But there won't be any live stream or anything about that.
Okay, we'd have to do the same thing. Have it over in the corner.
An actual like microphone. Sorry, no. When I say speaker, I'm sorry. I'm meaning another human being. So we're gonna Wednesday night's event, 7 o'clock. We're gonna watch a movie, and then after the movie is over, there will be a guest that I will be kind of leading a conversation with that guest. And I'm realizing, if you know, kind of in true Antiochian fashion, if you have a public event, that we should be using a microphone for the event. It has nothing to do with streaming or YouTube or anything.
Right, right. But I'll have to set up that same stuff that I'm going to have to set up in the corner, so that microphone will work.
Okay.
Yep. And I need to figure out, because this is like 2:30, starts at 2:30.
So this room is reserved from 1 until 4.
What I'm thinking of is there's a dinner over in South Gym that night. JP's requested some microphones for that too.
Yeah.
So I just need to plan the
transition.
Right.
So
getting stuff from here to there.
We can make sure that that it'll be done, you know, no later than 3:40.
Okay.
And I don't have anything planned, so I can personally help schlep, bring gear over, and do whatever needs to be done to help set that up.
I just sent you another email, and this one, you would need to do it on the laptop for the, this one has the Rendezvous link. Now, it's not going to work in this case because of the live feedback issues.
What is Rendezvous?
Rendezvous is their version of Skype or like a video call system.
Okay.
It works. So if you
Can I join?
yeah, go to that link, join. It'll ask you to put in your name, like what you want to be called, and then I
get to be the guest.
click add, and then I can create. Now this is going to be delayed too, so as far as using it for a live thing, shot. All right. And then if it was just a stream where we were bringing in people, like if this wasn't a live event, but it was like a panel discussion, we were streaming and that's all we were doing, then we could have multiple people from outside. I don't know if there's even a limit to like the number of Rendezvous participants you can have, but
Oh, that's cool. So it's like you could have a conversation with different people.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a way to set up the screen, like you can have two different people both on the screen at the same time. You can switch back and forth between individuals while they're talking. There are a bunch of different ways that you can set it up. I've switched it back now to the main.
So is Rendezvous the actual software that you're going to use for the live cast?
No,
this is like Skype.
It's sort of like an extension of the live stream software, which is called Wirecast.
Okay.
Rendezvous is like a sub application within Wirecast, and the advantage is when you send that link to people, they don't need to have Skype, they don't need to have an account or anything. They literally just add that.
Okay, so the Rendezvous tab here is what the person in Minnesota will see. Is that right?
Well, in this case, because we're going to have them separate, we'll use Skype or the phone call or whatever else separately, and we won't use Rendezvous for this, just because the test that I did yesterday, the big problem was if you have it on here and it becomes part of the stream, and the stream includes this microphone for this side of the call so that that person can hear what's going on in this room. If you then send that audio so that the person talking can be heard in the room, this microphone picks up itself.
So you get feedback.
Yeah, and you get feedback. I tried a bunch of different ways and I couldn't find a way doing it as a live event to not have that. If it was just a stream, then there would be ways that we could do that so that they wouldn't hear.
Can I ask you a different question?
Yeah.
So, because I think from the point of view of the live streaming and the experience of the audience and the panelists, would it be easier just to have the person call by phone? So it may not even be necessary. I just texted Shane and I asked him if he could come over.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Jennifer Knickerbocker, she's visiting her stepfather who's in hospice. I guess he's terminally ill, so she's not here.
Oh, okay.
But if this was my event, that I was like, this is my panel and my guests, I would say join by phone, because then you know you're going to get good audio, right? And then it's just going to be like, this looks great. Like what you're doing right now with the camera, I think it looks terrific, and the delay is very, very slight. But what I saw in Rendezvous, it looks really pixely.
Oh, well, what you're seeing on that is...
Maybe I just don't understand how that's used.
If you go to the wire. Yeah, And that's only what they would see, like the other person. It's not the stream.
Ah.
That's the...
Okay, I'm sorry.
The call part of it.
Okay.
Like that's what the person, the group would see.
But this is the live feed that everyone would see.
Right.
And then when the person is speaking, and here's the other thing, that person is going to look like Big Brother. They're going to be like, their head is going to be projected behind the panel the entire time.
Right.
And I don't know if that's what Jennifer and Shane want.
So if we just do audio, it helps in a bunch of ways. Now, the big decision between Skype and a phone call, I think would be more what the finished product sounds like. The ease of either is not that hard, and getting the audio out into the room, we can definitely do it from the computer into the room sound system with Skype. One thing I could test, I'd have to set up a sound system.
We could do the Skype that's just the call. Do you know what I mean? Because you can use Skype for phone calls. It doesn't need to be. So that's the same sound system. It doesn't need to be video.
And the only thing I would need to do for that, because
Skype's video calling feature gives you the ability to talk to anyone.
Yeah, so that's working. Right now I have the projector on, but on the remote I have what's called AV mute.
Okay.
So it's darkening the projection so you don't see any light out here, but the audio is still playing.
When you want face-to-face, all you need is a webcam.
Here's my thinking about this too, like kind of as we're unpacking it and talking about it. What makes sense to me to see in the back is a slide that says Antioch College Indigenous Water Protector Panel. Like if there's going to be something on the screen behind everybody, that should be the visual that we all see, as opposed to a person's head.
We can do that. That takes us back to that light balance issue with the bright projection and then trying to balance that.
I think it's still better than someone's head, because I mean, there's usually there's the like if it was going to be something like super professional. I'm trying to think of it. I think it's maybe Camtasia that Adobe has, that allows you to kind of be the producer, where you're like, oh, Beth is talking, let's click on Beth's camera.
Oh, yeah.
And then Beth isn't talking anymore, we'll go back to the default slide. Like, you know, there's Adobe, I think it's Camtasia, or Adobe Connect software that allows you to do that. And in fact, it's even automatic, like when the person is speaking, it goes to them, just like in Google Hangout.
Okay.
You know, when they speak, the camera goes to them, and then when your mic is silent, it goes to the group. But I think just for the ease of keeping it simple, I mean, this is going to be an hour-and-a-half long conversation. That's a very long time to have one person projected on back. That's kind of hard for anybody to not pick their nose or
And if they don't
the dog comes in.
Well, if they don't dominate the conversation, if there are periods where they're just sitting there and other people are talking, then I wouldn't want to be.
I wouldn't want to be that person. I think that would be pretty hard. And also,
I'm going to bring in the screen.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if
the other issue there is that the person who's going to be projected is 18 or 19 years old. For that, I mean, that's a very hard thing to ask someone to do. So I think a phone call would be better. Just now that I'm talking through it, I think it's going to be better for the speaker, and the speaker will be able to watch this, right? So they'll be able to see it, and you know, let's imagine you're on the panel, and I'm on the phone call,
They're not going to want to watch the live stream
oh, because it's going to feedback.
because, well, it'll be delayed.
Okay.
So if they're watching the live stream, the minute or however, they're going to hear that stuff like a minute late, and they're not going to be able to have a in-time conversation.
Okay.
They're going to want to listen to their phone. And,
Okay. Okay, great. But then I'm just thinking about this. So this is the microphone, and this is like my phone calling, you know, I think we're in Megan or something like that in Minnesota. So my phone's running, Megan's speaking in here, and how does Megan get to hear what everyone is saying?
That's, there are a couple possibilities. They need to,
We should make sure they have a headset.
well, one option.
I'm writing some stuff.
Well, yeah, from their end, if it's just one person,
Yeah.
their best situation on their end is probably that they have a headset with a microphone, because that way, especially if we're not looking at them, if we're just hearing them, they have good like headphones that they're hearing from rather than just computer speakers, and they have a microphone like right there rather than like, the microphone on their laptop. Now, one option is that USB microphone that you've used for some of the meetings. If we put that out on the table so that that's picking up everyone better than, because otherwise if we just use this, it's going to be this microphone that's picking up, and it's going to be like around the corner kind of pickup. Another option, if I just need to figure out how we can do it, and I'm sure there's a way.
I've used that USB microphone before, because the acoustics in here are great. I think they're quite good. For ASB 202, when it's filled with faculty and we have the speaker in the middle, and it's been great. So I think that gives a good opportunity for the listener to hear what's happening with everyone.
Yeah.
So if that's the only mic, and that's kind of in the front, I think it would probably pick up everybody. What do you, I mean, are you thinking about that as opposed to the ones on the table, or in addition to?
Well, the issue is linking the systems.
Right.
So the microphones on the table are connecting to a speaker over in the corner, but that's not connected to the computer. Now, there might be a way that I can USB out from the mixer into the laptop, and then we could choose that output from the mixer as the sound source for the Skype call from this end, so that they're picking up, so that they are getting like all of those microphones as if they were hearing it directly from them talking at the microphone, as opposed to another microphone picking up what's in the room.
I think I'm going to repeat what I heard you say. I don't know any of this technical stuff, right?
Right.
So what you're saying is if you take the feed or the lines from these and run it through something where they can hear it. Is that right?
Yeah. So over in the corner by the door, we'll have a table that'll have the speaker that's playing sound out into the room, and there'll be a mixer there that all the microphones are connected to. So that's what the people in the room are going to hear, is what's coming out the speaker. The distance might be an issue, although maybe what we can do, if it's just the well, but if we're using the phone, that might make it even easier.
Let's use the phone.
No, well,
I'm 100% convinced that we do not want to project this poor woman for an hour and a half.
right. Well, even if we do Skype call on the computer, we don't have to do that. We can, like you said, just do the audio.
Yeah.
There are other things we can do, but in that case, and we might want to test this ahead of time with them and with the phone and everything.
Oh yeah.
Maybe what we should do is place the phone in front of the speaker so that they're getting all of that sound coming directly out of the speaker. Because the USB microphone won't do anything for the phone. We won't be able to attach it to the phone.
I'm with you.
Now, the other thing that I want to find out, and I can set this up I don't know if I'll be able to do it today, but on Monday I can set it up. I know if I take my phone and I connect it to a mixer, I can play music to the mixer. If I'm receiving a phone call, I've never tried that. I've never received a phone call while I have my phone connected to a mixer. But if that would...
It's output, it's audio output.
It might pick up the audio directly from the phone and
sure.
play it out. So if that works, then your phone would be over there. We would have, you have an iPhone, and is it the...
It's old
does
school.
Does it have a headphone jack? Okay. That would actually make it easier.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I don't have the headphone jack anymore, so I have to use the adapter to get the audio out.
Mine is old school.
But if you have the headphone jack, we can come out of that, go in, and then just position the phone so that the microphone on the phone is facing the speaker and picking up what's coming out. That should work.
Here's, in terms of thinking about the setup, one of our speakers on the panel will be in a wheelchair. So is there some way to like gaffer tape the cables to the wall or something? So that that's, I don't want that, out from that.
If we use just the 6 microphones, then those are all wireless. So all the cables and stuff will be over in the corner by the mixer, and then the microphones.
Wireless.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then if we're doing the phone, then we don't have any connection between the two. And then from here, all we would need
is to initiate the call with her.
Well, no, the call would be on the phone.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
Here,
so
it would just be if you want the picture.
Just burn them minutes. No, screw it. No, I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to cut corners, but what I'm wanting to do is like reduce the elements, reduce the pieces in the mix that could get screwy.
Yeah.
We know that a phone call is going to work. We know this young woman has a phone, right? So, I mean, the only thing I can imagine is like, you know, maybe she has a track phone and she doesn't have that many minutes for a phone call. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, that could be a very real situation.
Well, and from her
or we
end,
could, if she's got a landline,
yeah,
we could call her. That might be better.
And then the other thing,
I'm going to write down a few things, right?
I suppose if you wanted to research it with YSO, I don't have the ability to connect audio from a landline into the sound system. But if YSO or someone like that had something, I don't know if they have something that could be brought over here.
I'm using my phone.
Okay.
I've got a big Verizon plan.
Okay.
I'm mainly thinking about this young person in Minnesota, right? So we need to ask about her phone, if she's got minutes. Does she have access to a landline? We need to make sure that she's using her phone, that maybe she can plug in. So I've got like the old school iPhone earbuds that has a little microphone. So that works really well. So she needs, I think that
she doesn't have to like hold.
Yes. So she needs a headset with a mic, and also the sound is much better the whole time. We need to make sure that, you know, whatever number we're calling, that this is going to be a phone call that she can join. You know. The other thing is, I'm thinking we need some kind of logo or something to project on the back, and I think Jennifer is also.
Do you have
she's
one already? Or?
I think she's got something.
Okay.
I'm just going to take a picture of these notes. So here, we're going to do a test call, right, at some point?
Yeah, we should do a test sometime next week.
Right, so we need to do a test call with her, with our guest. She needs a headset with a mic. We need to figure out what the situation is with the phone and the landline. And then also this in the back. This is going to be really cool. I mean, the ACLU just posted something on their Facebook page nationally that there's a whole bunch of legislation that's being pushed out in the United States to make protesting pipelines a felony. Think about that, a felony. What does that mean if somebody's going to do something you know, near your drinking water supply, you don't even have the right to protest. It's a felony charge. So this shit is all getting very real. Like it is getting, I think the conversation that's going to be here, I wouldn't call it historic, but I would call it deeply significant. And I think that, you know, people in our community will be really interested in hearing about that. I think it's really important.
Now the other
Not to put any
question.
pressure on you or anything.
Oh, that's fine. The other question I trying to remember what because Christine Reedy emailed me, and so far all the tests I've been doing are on either my email, because every Antioch email has a YouTube account because it's all Google. I've been doing YouTube, but I've been doing it either through my email or the media services email. And ultimately, at some point, we need to test the Antioch College email, because I'm guessing that's what this would need to go out on.
Yep.
What's held me back on that so far is I think when I create an event for that, all the subscribers are going to be notified. There's like 190 something subscribers for the Antioch.
That's cool though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just so far I haven't wanted to do that for the test because I don't want them to see like this stuff that we're doing.
Yes, I'm with you. Sorry, I'm a few beats behind you. I got it.
So I haven't done the Antioch one yet. It should be all set up to do, but at some point I need to
give it a shot.
I need to do that, and I think we probably need to test it. Maybe I'll email you and Christine and just say, how should we do this, since the subscribers will probably see it. So
this is only a test.
Right, something so that they know. I mean, it doesn't need to be long. We just need to verify that it is working. But they're gonna, whatever we put out there, they're gonna see.
I have an idea. What if we did that? This is a test, but the projection is, please join us for the event. Do you know what I mean? Like the thing that's on the projector?
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
well,
this is a test, but the live event is Tuesday the 23rd, 2 o'clock to 3:30 Eastern time.
If you can come up here, I can show you.
And Shane just texted me. He said he's on campus.
Okay. I don't know.
The campus is so lucky to have you doing this. Well, here, if there's any good benefit to this, all the kinks that you're working out now, I think whatever we do, I mean, what a wonderful thing for us to continue to do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Wow, next quarter there's going to be this cool conversation on race and real estate with Kevin Magruder. You know?
Right. So on here, sorry, it's a little crowded in here.
Okay.
Just real quick, the way this works, there are different layers.
What is
and
this?
This is the Wirecast software. There are different layers, and so the preview side is here, and this is the live side. So what you saw before, I had this, and because this layer's above this layer, the clock is showing up on top. If I bring up something below, it's not going to show up because it's behind that layer. And then when I'm ready,